Namaskar, Harihar ji. Namaskar.
Namaskar, Namaskar, Jeet. Thank you so much for quickly agreeing. All the stalwarts are here. They will take care of the rest of the evening.
I hope they will understand my limitation.
आपका बड़प्पन है. That's all I'll say. Your humility is all. Niranjan and Ralji and our Gopal ji, Jeet ji, our Gopal Dalmia is from Pondicherry, right?
अच्छा अच्छा.
And he spent all his years there practically. He was telling us, he has some fantastic stories. Each time he steps in, he will give us something very, very interesting.
Okay. अच्छा.
So he's now in Pondicherry. He has been there for
Okay.
long, forever. I think for the last 40 years or so. TOT
अच्छा.
of demand, all that. And he also he has done work on watersheds, but at
Watersheds.
a slightly larger level, south of Pondicherry
Hmm.
and all that.
अच्छा अच्छा.
Ramesh Banagar is from Hubli. He's also into systems of water management. He does simple things like how I will get rid of both at the urban level of say of inundation and at the farm level of what we can do for watersheds.
Right.
Shivai is from Vadodara. He and Apurva Shah, you see, almost the same second, both of them joined. They both are they complete Ravalji, I will say. Without them, he's not whole. Our Ravalji is not complete.
Uh, uh, I know
Um,
they are all very experienced people. They are all knowledgeable and they understand the context of water, more than what we know, basically. As architect, we know only superficially the water, but we have never valued water, as a part of planning process.
this man, Apurva Shah, he's from Ahmedabad. He's also currently the head of the Indian Plumbing Association chapter. Not that it
Okay.
means much, but the point is that he's also actively, trying to see what he can do at industry levels.
Right.
And yeah, yeah. And
I think they have great role if they make it mandatory that all fixtures they produce, industry produce, they will be water efficient. Half of the
yes,
job will be done. I think
they've
that
got that already. They got it as a legislation at the union ministry level. That was done about 8 9 months ago. Last year it was done. But in terms of its implementation, well, if
yes,
people don't in India, if you
yes,
are not caught, you can do whatever you like.
that's the problem.
That
That's
is the
problem.
problem.
That's problem.
So compliance is not in their hands. That is the challenge.
That is right.
However, having said that, I can tell you that that law on this, what they have done is at the manufacturing sector level. What they are saying is you cannot produce without efficient fixtures,
Right.
without whatever they are, the aerators and restrictors and such. So that is the change in legislation, and that is going to impact soon. That is on the marketplace. You will not be able to get a faucet which will
Right.
be anything over 6 liters per second
Okay.
per
Right.
minute.
Right.
Sorry.
That's right.
Yeah, 6 LPM. That they've already got this done. I think, Apurva, do you know if it has impacted, for example, at the supply level for companies like, Hindalco and others, not Hindalco, whatever, Hindustan Sanitary Ware and others?
Mm.
You have to unmute, Apurva.
Just before 2 hours, I was speaking with Astral director, one of the director. He was
Correct.
saying the impact will be huge. Right now, see, they are able to supply to the demand, but the price escalation, which is likely to come, which is to the tune of 40% or so, which
Mhm.
will impact the whole industry like anything. So the price because of war, which it is going to affect to all of us,
Yeah.
will
Mm.
be significant and is right now we all don't know, but very
Mhm.
soon it will be unfolded once the restrictions and everything is over from the government side. Right now, raw
Mhm.
material impact is huge, but
Mm.
real estate is little slow across the country. So
Mm.
they are being able to manage their resources through their distributor, but distributors are not getting the payment from the developers in time. So these are the big issues they are facing.
I see.
Yeah.
But I think once a beginning is made, it's a question of time only. It's a question of time.
True. And this, what Apurva is talking about as price impact is not coming because of this efficiency factor.
Right.
That is it. I mean, this is
The,
a different market
these
demand.
are external factors,
Ji,
basically.
Hanji,
This.
Hanji. See, this is,
Harijit,
yeah, yeah. I
Harijit,
actually, in the last 1 year, Ashirwad, for example, you all know that as a good brand, Ashirwad has had to close up. It's been in extreme difficulty the last 12 months. Is that right, Apurva?
No, Ashirwad is not closed down.
But they're having serious difficulties, what I heard last from one of your.
Yeah, the running, yeah, lot of management issues and board is changing and things like that. But
No,
I think so.
it's
We
final.
did. I think so. Your program sponsor were Ashirwad only when
No,
we
it
did
was
it in
not.
Ahmedabad.
Uh, At that time, it could have been a year and a half ago,
Yeah,
but just now I heard from Gurmeet recently. I asked
yeah.
him for something or the other. He said, "Look, don't go to Ashirwad; it won't help you," and so on. That way. But I mean, I took it as an example, not to cast anything on any aspersion on a company, but to say that the industry has been in some difficulty. GG, that
yes.
has been there, right?
No, no. They have. See, they are running the factory on autopilot mode. Basically, they have no. See, right
Mm.
now, AliEx has taken over the group, and AliEx is someone sits in the London and someone sits at the Paris, and they are controlling the company. They don't know what is happening, ground reality in India, their plant, their people. So, lot of reshuffling was happening in last 5 years. No one was there permanently, and all that. Their contacts have become dull, though they make one of the best quality pipes.
Got it.
I think
Harijit,
industry is always complex, and there are so many factors.
It's 3 minutes past the hour. I
Right.
think we have the quorum, I must say. We have about 17, 18 people, GG. Once again, thank you for instantly agreeing when I asked you. I must tell the rest of you that he called me for something else. I was requesting him to see if he can become a jury member in something else in Chennai. He called me about that. And there's another, call it if you like, a limitation with GG. He will not send you a message. He'll pick up the telephone and call you. So I picked up the phone knowing that it was him. And at the end of the conversation, I asked him, "Can you take it up?" This is just was yesterday. This was in the late afternoon yesterday, I think.
Yes.
And no, sorry, day before yesterday. And
Yes.
so here we are. We could not send the invitation a little earlier, meaning we should have sent it yesterday. Thank you so much at short notice for so many of you have joined. I must thank Ravalji for prompting, goading me also. He kept saying yesterday, he said, "Look, whatever it is, let us have one meeting." Then this morning he wrote to me at about 4 o'clock, I think. I responded and said, he's another person like Jeet like Kirti Bhai. Our
Yes.
Ravaji will send you a message at some 2:15 a.m., 3:45 a.m. He has a very, very wild cycle, what is a nocturnal cycle, call it if you like. And so there we are. We have lots of people. There's so much geographic disparity, I must tell you. I mean, dispersion, I must tell you, Jiji. Dr. Jyotilingam is from, he works in Ramnad. Sweta Junjunwala, you should have called, I'm not so sure where from. Vitina Jha is from Maithili region, North Bihar. Mamta is from Bangalore. Nikhil Chaudhary, I'm not so sure. Nikki Nirvikalpa is from Bombay. Sweta, thank you. She's from Mumbai. Then we have this Damodaran Kannan. He's, I think, from Bangalore. Srinivas is from Bangalore, that is. He's also in the water industry. Then we have Ajit Seshadri. I think you know him. Ajit is
Yes,
also,
right.
yes, yes, yes. He's from Delhi. Ramesh
Correct.
Gaudnapur is from North Karnataka somewhere. The rest of them, I told you. Niranjan Khatri, of course, you know. And I must tell you, Niranjan has been a fantastic supporter. And he's one of the pillars of this group from the beginning. Now, the past 5 years and all that, we have Suresh Pai also here. He's from Bangalore. See, there are very diverse people here, Jit. Our
Right.
Suresh Pai, for instance, is a chartered accountant. Why should he be doing, in a water meeting? But there he is. Over to you now. It's 6 minutes past. You take your time. I know it will be delightful. We have a lot to learn from you. Thank you so much.
Sir, how much time will you give me? That's
About
what
40, 45 minutes, Gigi. But
That's
if it is
that,
more, don't worry. We will listen to you.
you stop me if where there's a
I will,
problem.
I will remind you gently. I won't stop you.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll share my screen,
Yes, please.
Is my
Yeah.
slide visible?
Yes. Yes.
Is
Now
it
you have to put it on the view mode.
is it now I put it there, right?
Yes, we got it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
right. So thank you very much, Hariharanji. I think uh, once he said, I said no, I could not say no to him. Despite the fact I was thinking in the morning, I should call him. I say, can you give me more time? But morning, I got his call, and I could not say no to him. But whatever, I could do within that little time, I think I'll share my knowledge and understanding about cities and how they can be made water resilient, And we all know, life is no life is without water, and water is, as C.V. Raman, laureate C.V. Raman called it, elixir of life, and it is the most valuable gift of nature. Life subsists, life, it all we have on this planet Earth, it is because we have water to support it, So water remains important not only for human living, but also for all our growth and development. Water is known for its capability of making people happy, healthy, and more productive, and it can also lead to adverse conditions if the quality of water is not there. So there exists a very close relationship between water, and without water, I think we will not be there and nobody shall be there, But if the water has positivity, I think we have seen the limitation, because water has been cause of numerous kind of challenges to human living, to urban areas, etc. But unfortunately, what has happened, despite being a gift of nature, we are treating water as a commodity. So water is being treated as a commodity, but not valued as a gift of nature, despite all limitation we have in accessing water and the role water has, in the human growth and development. So with the growth of population, growth of urbanization, growth of our attitude to consumerism, the water consumption has been increasing. The population growth has been lower as compared to the water demand, which has been increasing rapidly. And despite all progress made, still globally, we have 2.1 billion, out of 8.36 billion people who lack access to safely managed drinking water. 4 billion people, half of the population, global population, remain water stressed for minimum 1 month, Still, we don't have, basic sanitation available to 3.4 billion globally. And 5 out of 8 billion people, around, but you can say 60% people shall be water stressed by 2030. So therefore, I think water, knowing its role, relevance, importance in human living, I think managing water would remain very critical and very important. It has been all said that if you are saving water, you are helping saving life, you are helping save energy, you are helping save nature, and you are helping save money. So this is the water context. We say, I say that we have around 70%, 71% earth underwater, only 29% is the land on which we live, and there is only 3% of fresh water. Rest 97 is all water in the sea, which is unfit for human consumption unless it is being treated. So when you look at this, even 2.5 to 3%, we have only 0.4% water available on the surface, whereas rest of the water you can say is under glacier and in the ground below you. So right accessible is 0.4% of the water. That is the total water which is available on this planet Earth, which is available for, which is fit for human consumption. So therefore, I think I would like to put before you three challenges India faces as a nation. So I think we'll take note of that. Number one is we are overpopulated. For the reason we hold 1/6 of the global population. That means 17.78% population lives in India alone. And if you combine China, that means we are around 35% of the world population. So we are overpopulated in the sense, we have limitation of land resource because all human activities, all human avocation are performed on the ground for the reason we're living in housing, we're getting educated in school, we are going to hospital. When we are not well, we go for work in an office. All they are basically are buildings which are on the land itself. And we have only 2.2% of the global land as against 17.78% of the population which we have to hold. In addition to all these activities, all your food, clothing, etc., and the basic necessities, they come from the land itself. So therefore, I think the equation remains 2.2, and if you exclude the coastal area, it is 1.99% is equal to 17.78%. So second challenge is the land as a resource. So what my, plea before you is, let's look land as a natural resource, as a gift of nature, not as a commodity to be traded. In addition, the third challenge is the water, the limitation of water resources, which is merely 4%. And again, we have 1/6 of the global population plus 550 million animals, which also require water. So therefore, I think these three challenges which have to be kept in mind by all professional, by all administrator, by all planner and architects, and the people who are involved in managing the cities or settlements or looking at the growth and development of the country, that these challenges have to be effectively and efficiently met with. And we know, that this is a challenge which has to be met locally, has to be tackled with solutions which are local, because we are unique in terms of our own situation. In addition to this, when it's already said 35 million people in India don't have access to safe water, 678 million people lack access to safe toilets. 21% disease are the outcome of the poor quality of life, poor quality of water being used, and over 3 lakh children under 5 die annually because of the poor quality of water they are being consumed due to diarrhea. So we remain one of the most land stressed country in the world, among the top 10 countries, which account for 60% of the global water shortage. And if you look at the rivers, you will find all rivers are basically losing in their capacity. There are only two rivers, Indus and Narmada, which are basically having more water. Ganges, of course, has gone one, but the rest of the major rivers are basically facing, the reduction in level. When you look at the the water consumption, of course, this is a national consumption where the majority of water has gone to is being consumed by Agriculture, it's around 70%, and 8% is by domestic, and 22% is the industrial. So majority of water is being utilized by, say, the agriculture sector. And we find, the India, despite the fact we have only 4.4% of the global water, we are drawing one-fourth of the, you know, total groundwater. We are all dependent upon groundwater. We have 60% district which are water critical, 70% water remain contaminated, and we rank, poorly, 120 out of 122 country in global water quality index. The majority of the agriculture which you've taken, they are basically large consumers of water like rice, paddy, sugarcane, etc. And in addition, we are using not only water intensive crop, but are the agricultural practices are very inefficient, and it is said we are consuming twice the amount of water for producing the same quantity of agriculture produced with the other countries are producing. So we know due to, water scarcity, who are the major sufferer, women, they are victim, and they say we lose 150 million of work days every year. And of course, our majority of consumption remains the groundwater and agriculture, which is the major water consumers. The large amount of water is used the groundwater. In India, rural India also uses 90% of groundwater, whereas in urban India said only 50% is used from the ground itself. The rest they are using other kind of sources for meeting their water requirements. So when you look at the cities, there it is said, larger the city, the more is the demand for water. And out of 53 metros, they say, Delhi and Bombay, they are basically, they both these are consuming around 75 to 80% of water. But Delhi and Bombay, they consume around about half of the total water consumed by urban. In addition to the level of consumption, higher consumption level, we have a lot of water being, lost in transition, and it is said the leakage is as high as 35 to 40%. So majority of, water is also getting unaccounted due to poor transmission. And we see there is a lot of demand gap between supply and demand, and this remains 21% for Bangalore and Calcutta and Chennai, whereas Delhi, Mumbai, they account for around 1/6 of the water demand. So therefore, always the demand is chasing supply, and we know city in India has 24 by 7 by 365 watt supply so far. So you can see how the water scarcity is challenging and impacting, and the impact is much more on lower strata of economic pyramid of this country. You can see how the people are looking for water. And in addition, besides looking at the we are shortage of water, we don't mind, even polluting the very source of water, which we should be able to, respect and preserve and protect. And this is all because water is, remain unique for us for doing all kind of activities. So when you look at the issues facing water, you can find out, there is the consumption have been increasing due to, the rapid increase in population, rapid urbanization, emerging gap between supply and demand. And we are finding, that we are not even managing our water resource rightly, despite the increasing demand on the water sources. In addition, global warming, climate change, repeating flooding, etc., they are posing additional challenges in water management. There is total lack of awareness and commitment on the part of individual institutions and the administrator about the rational, efficient, and economical use of water. So there is, on one hand, there is a shortage, on the other hand, there is a large pollution of water sources. And in fact, all our sanitary system, they are based on water intensive fixture. And this is, look at this, when we all people have as the government is saying, everybody will have a water connection, number one, everybody will have, a toilet. You can think of, what will be the water consumption level. So we have problem of limitation of wastewater management because we don't value the water at all. There is a rainwater harvesting is, has poverty in terms of its management, both at local and regional level. Pricing of water remains also issue, because where we are looking at the people who are lower strata, they are being charged on a uniform rate and they are not being metered. Majority of water supply is not metered, so people take it otherwise, that and in addition, when we don't have 24 by 7 by 365, the uncertainty leads to a lot of water losses. So we, in addition to this, we have a problem of inefficient and outdated technology for managing water, sourcing water, and water delivery. So I said leakage, theft, wastage account for large proportion of water. There is unfortunately, if you look at your own organization, their focus is on water supply, not on water management. And there is lack of accountability and transparency. How the water is sourced, how is water is supplied, how is it managed, how is priced. So there are a problem of irrational norms and standards regarding to water supply being made available. And you find, there is no equity. There is problem of unequal access to safe drinking water and sanitation. When we come to the solution, we look for this, how we can make water available to everybody. I think first and foremost will be that we need to value water, and we should also understand water is a gift of nature, is a resource which needs to be valued and which needs to be used wisely. So I'll start with this one, every drop counts. I think that should be the basic principle. Secondly, water must be made available to all. Nobody should be left behind and denied. It should be the principle of making safe water accessible, because I think the water should be treated as a fundamental right and the right of the individual to have it and duty of the state to provide adequate amount of safe drinking water. So ultimately, what will be the option? Why we have to go for water management more effectively and efficient? Because I think it is we need to understand that water management remains important for promoting sustainability in urban living. Number two, if we have to optimize water resources, there has to be proper water management. Greenhouse gas emission has a lot of association, how water is sourced and how water is distributed. Water, of course, costs money. And when you save water, surely you make your living more cost effective. If you are reducing leakage, I think you are overcoming problem of pollution. If you are minimizing consumption, that means you are taking the water resource available for a longer time. There's you will have less wastage and less problem of dealing with wastewater. And when there's less water being consumed, city will become operationally more efficient, economical in terms of the services and the network which will be laid, because there will be smaller system and which will be required to cater for reduced kind of things. So ultimately we have to see that if there are lesser amount of water to be treated, the sewerage treatment plant capacity will have to go down, and also we will have limited challenges in managing water itself. I think when we look at the water, the problem remains, we are drawing more water than what the aquifer are able to absorb. That means demand is more, we are drawing more water as compared to what is getting into in water resources. So our water sustainability objective will have to be number one, valuing water. Number two, protecting water. Number three, conserving water. Number four, making addition to existing water resources. Number four is protecting water quality. Then we have to reduce and rationalize water demand and increase operational efficiency and delivery, cutting down on the wastage or theft which takes place. Looking at the 17th sustainable goal, we have, goal 11, which talks about sustainable cities and community, and which is embedding that water needs to be looked very critically and objectively. But looking at, the UNDP approach, that's what, 17 goals they were given for promoting sustainability in this. They dedicated goal 6, which specifically calls for clean water and sanitation at the basic necessity of human living and growth of nations in the march of, growth and development. And there are six kind of indicators which they have set in order to achieve the objective of sustainable water and sanitation. Number one, he says, all have access to safe and affordable drinking. That means the drinking water should be available to all, but it should be safe and it should be affordable. Number two, all have access. This is mandate by 2030, which every nation has to do, and we are only having 4 years to, 4 years left with to achieve that first stage, that all will have access to adequate sanitation and hygiene, and open defecation is eliminated. Third is improving water quality by reducing pollution, minimizing release of hazardous chemicals, and having the proportion of untreated wastewater. Fourth is increase water efficiency across all sectors and ensuring sustainable supply of water to reduce the number of people suffering from water scarcity. Fifth is fully implement integrated water resource management, which looks at water resources holistically. And sixth is protect and restore water-related ecosystem, including mountains, forests, wetland, rivers, aquifers, and lakes. If you look critically and objectively, you can see, everything related to water management is contained in these six mandates. And of course, we need to further see how they can be achieved individually and collectively. So when we look at this, I think what we are saying that let's recognize that India ranks among the most water-stressed country in the world. Having recognized this fact, I think we need to relook at how we are using water, how we are sourcing water, how we are consuming water, and how we are wasting water. So I think one of the fundamental thing is it's a human being which are the problem, and I think human being are the solution. You don't have to go anywhere else, to find a solution. You only find where is the cause, the same is there you find the solution. If the human beings are the cause of these problems, I think its solution is also lies in human beings, and that is the change of mindset to water management. So therefore, I think we need to value, conserve, preserve all forms or sources of water as a gift of nature rather than a commodity for sale and purchase. We should also make sure, that there is a universal access to water as a basic human right and fundamental rights. Then optimizing, protecting all available resources. Then we have to adopt the principle of doing more with less because we are already only 4% of water and 18% of population. So that means we'll have to promote multiple use of water. Then ensuring zero water waste, that means there will be no water which will go waste. It is basically, looking at circular economy. Whatever water is taken out, this is basically taken to its logical conclusion and nothing is drained off. Then in rainwater, what we are talking, the major problem in rainwater is we are draining water. Besides being so precious, I think we need to change this philosophy. Rather than draining water, we should retain water, and this water must be retained, to be used for months, when there is no rain. Then we have to reduce and rationalize demand, water demand, decentralize water management, and we should also think about that water sustainability is not a government agenda, or they should not be government agenda, but it should be community-led approach and program itself. So ultimately, what we as a planner, we go for this is number one, let's go for cities, which are, we are looking at cities as a consumer of water and, as abuser of water. And we say, let's not look at the city. Look at the regional context, Go for regional planning. So when you go for urban and rural planning, that means in terms of sourcing water, in terms of consumption water, in terms of conserving water, I think we'll do a much better job rather than looking urban areas in isolation, because no urban area exists without the supporting rural settlements. So therefore, I think we have to integrate all human settlements, both agriculture land for meeting and for taking care of the water demand. So then we must understand, all, if you look at the master plan itself, their priority is only the land use planning. But I think if we make water conservation or water wastewater management integral part of urban planning process, city would be much better, So what we need to do is we need to value water as a design asset rather than hazard, because the water has, capacity and capability of cooling cities, improving air quality, and promoting biodiversity. I think when we know the value of water, we need to retain water. And it is said, if you plan spongy city, you will have much better option and much better opportunity of holding water. The sponge, what sponge does, it doesn't expand, but it can retain water, it can absorb water, and if you just squeeze it, the water will come out when you require this water. So it's making spongy city is one of the option. And if you do the planning of the city on land suitability analysis, then majority of water sources, majority of low-lying area, and majority of water bodies, they shall never ever be used for urbanization. That's land suitability analysis is there, So if we take care of the land, rational landscaping as consumer of water and retaining water, if you can link all open spaces with rainwater harvesting, if you can, if we can augment, promote, and protect as all existing water sources as part of the urban planning, and then we identify the area which is for biodiversity, use low-lying area for creating man-made water bodies, lakes or pond, and we make options for preserving, collecting, sourcing rainwater for groundwater recharging. I think we will do a great job. The planning can be more realistic, more sustainable itself. So number one would be, the first thing will be how we go for planning of city. Unfortunately, we have not gone for planning of cities, because all what need to be done is carrying out a land suitability analysis. If you look at the land, you will always find all land is not suitable for, this urbanization. There are land under forest. There is a low-lying area, the land, which are ecologically very sensitive. So therefore, you find, there are land which is suitable, the land which are moderate suitable, land which is not suitable for urban development. So therefore, if a thorough study and analysis of the land which is being developed for urbanization, and if the suitability analysis and evaluation is made, we will be saving much of the area which is under water bodies, under, channels of water, the low-lying area, and they shall never ever go. And we will have all those rich area and the biodiversity for, making cities more qualitative. This is spongy city. And let me tell you, China was faced with majority of, cities getting involved in the flooding, urban flooding. And it was not 1 year, it was years and years, every year there was a flooding, and flooding was becoming more intense, Ultimately, they came out with the philosophy, let city be a spongy city. So that means the water which falls must be absorbed there and then, must be retained there and then used for this. So the concept of spongy city was one, where there is limited area under urbanization built up, but large area is under open spaces, plus all the existing water sources, they are taken note of and they are augmented and they are taken care of. This is what Curitiba, this is one of the classical example where, there was only 4 or 5 square meter of open spaces available for one person. There is a, as per WHO, that each city must provide 9 square meter per person as the open space, which is essential for having the quality of life. Looking at this, this gentleman, Jamie Lerner was the architect who was the first mayor of this city, and he's the father of transit-oriented development. He's also the father of rapid bus transit system, and he was the one, who changed the total structure of the city, and Curitiba became one of the best planned city in the world, and it is quoted as an example where the open space available is 50 square meter per person. Look at Chandigarh. The planning of Chandigarh was done with nature. So if you design with nature using natural resources and you value the resources, you will never ever go wrong. So this is Chandigarh under the shadow of, Shivalik range of hills and two water bodies. They all make sure, the city have enough adequate spaces to be linked with under the shadow of this, and city is known for its quality of life. This is a Tianjin city where there, they have all been planned with, green and blue infrastructure. And this is a derelict land for 3,50,000 people in a 30 square kilometer of area. They restored all those water body and they made sure water flows and through the city, and there are green spaces so that, city remains most vibrant. And this is known as one of the eco city. And again, Chandigarh, the Leisure Valley, that was a valley which had a, running across the city, and this was a seasonal show having width 100 to 300 meter. This was never used for urbanization, and there, we had all the best garden open spaces, and this is the green lung of the city and called now as the Leisure Valley. And that is basically the intelligence of the people who used the local site condition, considering their nature as integral part of the city planning and development process. In addition, of planning, we're looking at how the buildings are responsible. And this is the, figure which gives you an idea what are the implications of building in terms of water, energy, consumption of raw material, carbon emission, solid waste, chlorofluorocarbon, and also making people safe and healthy. And you can see 1/6 of the water which is drawn on planet Earth is consumed by the building in terms of its construction, its operation, and maintenance itself. So therefore, if you look building critically and objective, make building, green building, which and green building are known. They have five, inbuilt qualities. Number one, they use less water, that they optimize energy efficiency, they conserve natural resources, they have less waste, and they provide healthier space for occupants. I think it create a win-win situation for the city and for the people. And you can see what is the water reduction. It basically reduces 40% of water consumption as a green building, helping not only lowering your cost of operation of building, but also optimizing the available water. So if you're green building, you can see your reduction of water consumption will go down, and you can see these are the options which are available, because you have low flow fixture, you have very dual flush system as well. You can have waterless urinal. So that means that green building invariably focuses on water efficient fixture and reuse of groundwater. You can also, when the bylaws are such, if you are allowing only limited area to be covered by building and leaving more area for as a open space, which will help basically in recharging the groundwater. That's one option which you can have. And in Singapore, what they have said, we don't want the green areas to go back. So what the rule which they have made is that whatever building is permitted to be constructed, and whatever the green area is taken by the footprints of building, what is on the ground floor, that much area has to be compensated within the building. So there is no reduction in green spaces, and that you will have the same amount to be compensated. You can see all these roofs, they are green roofs, and they have all play area they are provided there, so that all the green area which have been taken out by the building, they are provided within the built environment itself. That's simply building by bylaws, etc. Then you have a green roof, and then we go for the third option will be rainwater harvesting. So I was saying, rainwater harvesting, with the first experiment at city level was done at Chandigarh. There was a Sukhna Chor on the right hand side. You can see, that there is there were two prongs. A dam was put in. This is not a natural lake. This is an artificial lake, So Sukhna Cho is now is a this is Sukhna Lake, we call it, and this is around 14-meter deep, It is 2.89 square kilometer of area. It has lowered down the temperature. It has improved the, groundwater this level. Plus, it has also lowered down the temperature, and a lot of forestation has happened because of this water. Plus, it has saved city from repeated flooding. Plus, it has become the best tourist spot so far. It is, that's one where the rainwater has been done at the city level, and this remains one of the example where the cities can emulate, and this is all low-lying area which have been just simply put a dam and the water has been collected. The Chandigarh also did rainwater harvesting at the building level, And this is the assembly building, Vidhan Sauda of this, where a lot of rainwater was coming in. So there was no money. They wanted that the water should be collected. So they included water tank on both sides, and all rainwater was, put in this. This not only reduced the, the heat island impact of the concrete, but it added more values, So this is how you can do the rainwater harvesting at the ground level. Of course, you have, the other kind of system which you can do at the local level, while, along the roads, etc., and along other open spaces, etc. These are the example where the rainwater from the roads have been just taken along this, and they have been used for, just harvesting there itself, This is new kind of system which have been there, and this is a water scare, where they have done these public spaces which are available with the community. So these spaces, whenever there is high level of flooding, these become the water. They will harvest the rainwater, they will collect the water, and so the water can be collected, city can be saved from the flooding itself. So these all public spaces have been planned and designed in such a manner that they serve a dual purpose. During rains, they can collect water, and another time, they will be as a play area for the public. And this has proved to be very successful, and the city have been saved from the flooding itself. Then landscaping remains very, very critical. And as I've said, trees are like Shivas, they when there is no water, they all absorb water. They all give water, but during rain, they have a lot of capacity to absorb water, Unfortunately, in India, as compared to 420 trees, we have only 28 trees, as compared to 10,160 trees in Canada. So now we need to have, more area under trees and landscaping, and we have to be very careful, they don't consume. There must be local. They should not consume more water. They should retain water. They should be used when there is lot of things. Of course, this urban forestry is the Neil Miyawaki is the author of this. Wherever if you go for urban forestry, you will have much better chances of retaining water, and you will have more greenery coming up in the city. Look at this, Central Park in New York. These are the areas which house both water and also vegetation and take away majority of carbon footprints which are generated by the highest most intense kind of development globally, This is again Hyde Park, London, which is right in the core of this, and they have made the landscaping integral part of this, Ultimately, we have to look for more technology. How the building construction has a lot of role. I said building are consuming a lot of energy and water, and more water is going into the construction of building. And because we are all constructing building on site, this is if you are going for prefabrication, you will have lot of opportunity and lot of saving in using the water for construction of this. Community, of course, remains very, very important, and bringing all people on the same platform who are involved in the water sourcing, water supply, water management, and water distribution and the consumption. If they have brought this, I think we'll have a better chances. Nothing can go without the involvement of community, because communities are the one which are consuming, and they are the one which can go for minimizing the consumption of water. We can see, if you are involving group housing society, what can be done, individually it may be difficult for having rainwater harvesting, but you can do easily in on the group housing society and institution. You must incentivize the institution and say they become zero water, wastewater this. And secondly, they should be annual competition can be held, to recognize the institution, and also the these those educational and other institutions doing great job in the rainwater harvesting. Again, this is if we include this rainwater welling water, and how we can harvest water, integral part of the study curricula, so that the students are educated and made aware, and they can do a great job right in the school day. I think we will have better chances for preserving our water. World Water Day, of course, the celebrating these days, will help in making people aware, making community aware, making institution aware, and following that, surely can lead to having good examples that how the city can be made water this. Of course, industry remains large consumers of energy, and Switzerland, this was one of the most polluted country because of the industry. They were doing they were having lot of these medicine companies and paper industry which were consuming a lot of water. Ultimately, what they said, they based on the production, they gave the quota to the each industry had a quota of water which will be supplied, and they were made they were asked, there should not be any wastewater which should be there. And you can see how the Switzerland has, over the period of time, they have grown into one of the clean this, and industry remains one of the promoter of green kind of industry. Ultimately, the workers, unfortunately, we're looking at the people who are consuming. You are looking at the institution, you are looking at the administrator, but we do not look at the workers which are involved in the water supply and water, management itself. So therefore, I think if we are recognizing these people who are at the ground level involved in, sourcing water, so distributing water, I think you will find that there can be more water efficiency. In fact, the department, most of the department are known as water supply department. In fact, they should be known as water management department. It is not that their job is only to supply the water. In fact, their job should be right integrating right how the water is sourced, how the water is transported, how this water is purified, how water is distributed, and how water is being used, and how the wastewater is taken care of. So if you change the culture of the water supply department, they should not have people only engineers, etc. They must have scientists. There must be people, who go on research and development and looking at the various aspects of this. The city will be a much better place to manage this. Water auditing could be introduced as one of the system of, managing water. Of course, we will see, circular economy has been said as one of the option. And, you can see the Singapore, the water from the WC is being treated and they are being purified. And the new water, which is made available for drinking, is nothing but, use of technology by collecting that water, black water, and convert it into drinking water. So technology can help in, redefining the quality of water, and this is the entire process. The Singapore does follow it. Phytoremediation remains one of the, option and strategy at the local level, where you don't need an STP and you don't need any kind of equipment. It is only the root method, which can treat water. So you can treat all sillage. You will have water available there and then, and that you can use for purposes other than that. That is very, very important, and that remains very, very critical, if we have to manage water. And I think we have to find. One thing I would like to say: wherever there is a problem of waste, this must be dealt there and then, where the waste is created and where waste is generated. Let's not collect waste, and then treat it somewhere else. I think that lead to something wrong, So evaporation has its own system, because when there is a lot of heat, so the water sources, water get well. So we can have system by which we can minimize the evaporation and loss of water. And this has been done by, all this, these solar panels which are floated on this. Even in canal in Punjab, they have 1.1 kilometer solar panel put on canal, which takes away your need for land, etc., and also helps in generating more electricity. So ultimately, you can see also in this lay where the lot of water is there, problem of water is there during summer. So what they did, in winter, they brought the water from river, and then when the water went out, because the temperature was very low, these water just froze, So the water stupas were there, and this water stupa became the source of water supply and also the agriculture, which could be used for agriculture. And it has changed the total, not only the skyline, but also changed the economy and the environment of those places. And the United Nations has already accepted as one of the good practices, So, in addition, there are cities like Paris. Paris runs two kind of water system, Water system, water which is required for your flushing, water which is required for all your fountains, etc., and for your lawns, etc. These water are drawn from the rivers, etc., and then supplied. But the drinking water remains different and distinct, and that is only available for drinking, whereas all other, there are two systems which are there, and this is one of the unique system, where, this river water is being used for all other purpose, and this drinking water is kept separately. So therefore, ultimately, I will conclude. Sorry, I'm taking the more, a lot of time, but I can only say integrate if water is integrated in the planning of cities and the regions. Surely, it can help in making cities environmentally sustainable, physically more qualitative, socially more vibrant, physically more livable, operationally more efficient, and also a happy, healthy, and more productive. And also, it will having make cities more cost effective, beside making majority of urban challenge and creating a win-win situation for residents, community, city, and environment. I close it here, and thank you very much for your patience, and I hope I've been able to communicate what my brief understanding about the city is, how to, how cities can make more water releasing. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Jeevji. This is clearly an urban planner, town planner speaking, not somebody who understands technology or water and such. I'm acutely aware that many of you here are working on such systems and solutions. Over to anybody who wants to take
Yeah.
this.
May I hurry?
Yes, yes, of course.
Uh, Gupta ji, a very comprehensive presentation. A few of your sound bites came to my attention. One was World Water Day. I think World Water Day and so day, the time for it is gone. Every day is World Water Day. So we must stop sloganeering, because somebody else also sent me this message on that day. I said, stop sending slogans, act from your own home.
Right.
Secondly, I must forewarn you that I'm like a old record player. I'm stuck sometimes, if you're familiar with record players. And therefore, I again liked your soundbite. Uh, every drop counts and zero waste. Now, having said this, there are simple ways of bringing attention to this. And Hari will be
Right.
sick and tired of me of talking about a small peg and large peg of water offering. But these are the simple ways of communicating to large number of people through humor to first learn to save the water that is offered to you. So if I come to your house, I know you don't know my thirst question. I'll come and tell you, Gupta ji, I just want quarter glass of water. Or if I'm not asking you, you should ask me, do you want a half a glass of water or a 50 ml of water? Now we are very shy of doing these things.
Right.
I wonder how many people in IGBC do this. I've repeated this ad nauseum. Again, I'm repeating it because unless you start with small things, the big things will come later on. There's a lot of money involved, and every week we labor on this group on various aspects of water, which will take a long time. So tap the low-hanging fruits, which we are not doing in this country. That's my request to you.
No, I think, I am fully agree with you. I said the problems with the human beings. If you are offering me water, if I don't need the water, I must tell you that I don't need the water. Please don't give me the water. I think it's not that somebody is asking me or putting water before me and I just waste the water. It is the onus is on me also to say, please don't serve me water. I don't need it. Right? It's
Yeah.
basically, understanding. It's a both way. But what I was saying about water day, you rightly said it's water is what I said, elixir of life. Life will not exist without water. That means we have to value water every moment, every time. Wherever the water is there, it's not, and no water is a wastewater, no water is a dirty water, every water is a precious source. And I agree with you. But question remains, do the colleges, do the institution will do this kind of job? I would say, looking at what you said, taking a corollary from you, I think all colleges, all institutions, they must have water clubs placed in them, which, look at the good practices, which involve student in the practices, how the water can be saved. They can hold, competition, they can hold exhibition, they can
Gupta ji, if I may interrupt,
right.
A lot of us have done this work with colleges, schools, etc., especially
Right,
in Bangalore just before COVID. We spent
right.
6 months' time with a particular college, and I told them, if you're serious about water, first, please put the water aerators. It's not happened. Whether it's happened now, I don't know,
Sure.
but it did not happen. So,
Gigi, yeah, I get that. Sorry,
yeah.
you finished that. So you want to
So,
complete this? Yeah.
so, all I'm saying is that
I
uh,
can understand. In India, you don't expect everything you will do. I think if your 2% is achieved, that is an achievement itself because you made a start. At least 2% or, 100 students are educated, they value the water. I think they will do a job, but you can't.
Gupta ji, why always point at the students? I see okay, I'll be very candid. The various colleges that I go, they don't follow this practice. You got to lead by example.
Right.
That's all I have to say. Thank you.
That's right. I can.
Namaskar. I wanted to share. My name is Mamta. I wanted to share one small this which I read it in a school. End of the day, all the children who have not utilized the water in their water
Yes.
bottles are
Right.
asked to put it in they have provided these tanks,
A drum was there
drums.
where they will
Yes,
put it. Yes. Yes.
yes. I
Yes.
think that's a very good practice.
Yes.
And and more than anything, one more thing I always say, in the weddings, they will give these water bottles to everybody nowadays. It's become like, and most of the water, leave alone food, many times it is wasted.
Yes.
I don't know how to stop this.
Gigi, I have one very quick question for you. Since you have been a town planner of probably the only city in India which was created from nothing, right? And I have heard you speak about Albert Mayer and how Corbusier did very little, only gained all the credit thanks to Nehru and others. What was that city that Albert Mayer created, keeping in mind this water bearing capacity of a city? What was that they envisioned between him and that other Kowalski or whoever? There was another father of Chandigarh.
In fact, when the site of the Chandigarh was selected not by any other person, it was Indian. Mr. Verma, P.L. Verma, he was the chief engineer. He was the author of selecting the site that here the city will be there. He considered number one, the centrality, that this area is central to this. Number two, this area is free for all encumbrances. Number three, it had nature very close by because there was Shivalik range and there are two rivers. And also, they had a water source to take care of the needs of the water. And of course, it was very close to Delhi as the central capital. These are the 5, 6 parameters which were taken there. But I think the way the Chandigarh has done work for sustainability, we can't think about. No city has done, the amount of work in sustainability. I said, number one, lake, Chandigarh lake is an artificial lake. Number two, I quoted the example of they made rainwater harvesting integral part of the building design. Number three, they made sure that the water, which was that Cho was there, which is called now the Lesher Valley, that's retained and that's maintained, and that houses that does lot of just absorbing water. Chandigarh was the first city in the country which passed the tree preservation order. 1952. First order when the city was the first city to have 9,000 acre. All, this land is acquired by the government. There is not an inch of land which belongs to private. They did it. But then they thought of, where this trees will go. Otherwise, government always cuts the tree and sell it off. He said, no, no, there was a tree preservation order. That means all existing tree will be protected tree and no tree will be cut. So that is the reason you see Chandigarh has that vocabulary or that, number of trees. It is because no tree was allowed to cut. So I said rainwater harvesting done at the city level and the building level. Number two, the trees, then retaining those things.
Are you saying, Gigi, to this day, when let's say I want to build an apartment or house or something there in Chandigarh, are you saying that the sanction plan has to have integral to building design, rainwater harvest and such things? Is it
In
integrated?
fact, yes, it is about 500 square yard what you have to do, but they have not implemented. They have only, but no building plan is sanctioned. No building is allowed to be occupied of 500 square yard unless you have a rainwater harvesting system built in. That is integral part of this.
Right. Anyone else, please? I will request some of you who are not the regular participants to speak up. There are many of you here who have come in for the first time. Shweta, Srinivas from Chennai, do you want to speak up? You want to ask anything of Jeet sir? Shweta Junjunwala, you are from Mumbai.
Yeah, it's
You
just
might, yes,
so
go on.
I think Mumbai problems are so complex.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start. I think maybe
Mumbai's
that's
problem
the
is the easiest.
Yeah.
You get 2000 of rainfall, you get 200,000 liters, which is what your house's requirement is if you have 1000 square feet of a rooftop, and you guys have problems, right?
Yeah.
Shweta,
And we are
start
making
from your house. Shweta,
and
start
we are
from your
making
house.
desalination plans.
I totally. This is what they will do. This is what they will do when they have
That's
2000
right.
rainfall.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I get it.
But
Any other?
Shweta ji, what I would suggest, please look at the example of Paris. They're very clear. Water, which is, for drinking, that's a separate. But water, which is used for all your other flushing, all your green spaces, all other, thing, they are sourced from the river. Seine River and those are two rivers, that water is used. So that I think the two clear system which have stood the test of the time and they have made, Paris very sustainable. Otherwise, you can see we are using the same quality of water in flushing and
You
also
already said
this.
that, Gigi. They need water management board, not
That's
water supply
Yeah.
board. They have to first think of that. Yes, Chandra, please. Yes, Chandra.
Yes, sir. Sir, we have deliberated, laughed at all these things, fine. You are all senior people and also one of the revered urban planner. Who will build the cat? We all understand the necessity, we all understand the change needs to be done. Who will build the cat?
all we
That's-
professionals. I think we professionally. And unfortunately, I said, in the planning, nobody takes water as an integral part of the urban planning process. If this is integrated as a part of this, what is happening in planning, what people are doing. Nobody is taking care of the existing water resources. Nobody is taking where the
Sir,
water
if you
pond is.
don't write, sir, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
If you don't write to the ministry or to the chief, who else will? That
No,
is my
what I am saying as a planner, we mark that low-lying area for urbanization. That is the bankruptcy of the planning system. I am a blaming. I'm not saying that I doing the plans or master plans are a great thing. I think master plan do great damage when they are. And I said unless planning is based on land carrying out land suitability analysis. That means which land is suitable for urban development. Just I think we have to blame the planners initially what they included that low-lying area for urbanization naturally, and
Chandra, let me also, to his credit and for others like him, tell you that at least over the last, say, 10 years, 12 years that I have known Gigi now, probably from about 2008 or 9, every year I can tell you in I don't know how many colleges. He goes to so many colleges to see what he can do with children there. And there's a new generation of such architects and town planners who have grown up knowing these sensitivities, number one. Second, constantly he's with the government, I mean in Haryana, to try and see what he can make them understand of many of these things that they need to be looking at. See, we have to remember that Chandigarh is perhaps the only city out of about 8,000 towns slash cities that we have in India, which grew with nothing there, right? And therefore, at least, these people had the unique opportunity of planning the entire thing acre by acre. And Chandigarh, as he told you, is the only city which has no private lands. He did not grow historically like other cities that we all inhabit. Very interesting. despite all of this, he's been managing to see what he can do in Punjab and Haryana, also in UP, I think. Gigi, you have to tell him of what you do.
In fact,
Tirelessly you do, I know that.
in fact, the cities are very complex,
Yeah.
because cities are not looked at by, some planners.
Yeah.
There
Yeah,
are
but Chandra, it
people.
also tells, yeah, I agree. Chandra, it also tells us that the problem is very different. It's Himalayan sometimes. I can see Vishwanath is here. He takes a more benevolent view of it. He says, look, we have to know how to speak the language that the government speaks. And he finds ways of maybe achieving a few things there. But we must remember, Chandra, that it is not easy. Yes, you can accuse if you want to. People like G. You are all the original town planners. What did you do to give us this kind of legacy? We can ask him that. But it doesn't help us. He himself will be the first one to say, I am guilty of such things from the 70s, 80s, and so on. Yes,
But
Shweta.
Hariharanji, one thing I one slide I said three major challenges which India face in terms of overpopulation, in terms of land, and thirdly is the water. I think these needs to be embedded, as integral part of learning and teaching. So people work on that agenda that they will conserve. Of course, you can't do anything about the population, but surely you can do optimization of land. Let the land. In fact, what I tell you is, let land be not treated as a commodity. It's a gift of nature. So land must be held in the cooperative system, not the individual system. I am against this. Why the land should be held in the individual ownership? Basically, what is? In fact, I think we need to change the fundamental rights. We don't want the fundamental right to own a property and no travel anywhere. I think fundamental rights should be only confined to the government. Everybody must have access, roti, kapda, makan, education, healthcare, and employment. Six things, if the government ensure everything, of course, if somebody is very intelligent, let him work, wherever they. But these basic essential must be available to all human beings. That is, I think.
Shweta,
Yeah.
you want to say something after that? Sandeep, nice to have Sandeep after a long time. Yes, Shweta.
So a couple things to your point about government owning all the land, that has its own challenges. We're trying to work with forest department and how difficult that is. In Nasik, we are working with forest department to regreen the land with Ra
Right.
Foundation. And that has its own challenges where the government owns the land, they don't want to give, they have a lot of rules. There are other issues. But my question to you was around Nasik and the Kumbh coming up in Nasik and what they're doing with Godavari. Do you have any thoughts on what is going on there? I'm just curious. I'm very confused of what is happening there.
Yes, so far I'm not involved in that, but I know there are people, they engage architects, they, plan this. Somebody is doing this in Gurgaon, this kind of work is also because they are setting up a city to manage this entire manpower. Like, Haridwar, this,
Correct.
they have already done a planning. There were a city which was set up, and there is a city which is going to be set up in this. The work is outsourced. And I think if you ask the people who are managing this, they will tell you what are these plans, how they are going to set up a city, how they are going to manage the people who are going to be there. All kind of system they are properly worked and planned and then implemented. Because now these all comes, they are not simply religious things. They have all economic connotation. They are employment. They have also other kind of law and order problem there. So there are a lot of multinationals are jumping in also. You can see there are five-star accommodation being provided. So all these things they are coming up like independent cities, which will cater to the number of people who are going to
Yeah.
visit there.
Sandeep, yes, please. Nice to have you back here, Sandeep. Yes.
Hello, sir.
Sandeep.
How are you? Long time. See, I
Go. We can't hear you. You have muted yourself by
hello.
mistake, I
Am I
think.
audible?
Yes, please. Go
I'm
on.
audible. Hi.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello, sir. Long time and Hariharan and everybody here. Since we have Professor Jit Kumar today, who's a chief town planner, and hearing all these discussions, I just trying to understand what's happened with Bengaluru. Like over the last 5 to 8 decades, Bangalore has become a prime example of unplanned development. We Just 5 decades ago, it had 70% green cover, almost 30% wetlands, and about 8% concretization. Today, it stands at an obnoxious 95 to 98% concretization. We've lost 97% of our green cover. It's come down to 2% from 70%. And our wetlands, about 95% of it is destroyed. So I literally have no respect for government because this has been a prime example of actually zero governance. Bangalore is an example of zero enforcement, zero government.
Right.
So, and planning, whatever master plans we made were literally faulty. And at the bottom of it, I feel one, our master planning, we don't have a mechanism. It's amazing that Chandigarh has had that opportunity. In 2024, I think there was a case in the Supreme Court regarding a violation taking place in Chandigarh, which is kind of rare there, unlike in Bangalore, where literally every building is a violation. And 2 pages of the judgment were devoted to saying how Bangalore is an example of urban ruin due to unplanned development, and it was chiding the Chandigarh authority, saying, "Don't become a Bangalore." It's amazing. And I mean, literally everything seems to have gone wrong with Bangalore. I mean, the
Do you
scale of
remember
what
the
has
name
gone
of?
wrong is horrible.
Sorry. Do you remember the title of the case?
It's a Tata, Tata Camelot, What was happening right behind the capital complex? Corbusier said no building will come in the north of the capital complex, That's where the assembly Vidhan Sabha is there. So
Right.
what they did, that area falls in the state of Punjab, What Punjab did, they prepared the master plan, right? In the master plan, they marked the area for residential purpose. So Tata Camelot, there were MLAs, land minister, they purchased the land there, And they ultimately got into an agreement with Tatas that you please take up the development. They said everybody will be given 2 crore of rupees in addition, a big flat, So they agreed, Tata agreed, we do this kind of job. So they proposed 35-story high, development. So then people, then there was a lot of problem because that was in
That's how
Punjab,
we
this
can.
was in Chandigarh. So then people went to the court of law, and ultimately, it was falling in the catchment area of the Sukhna Cho, That's where they were, the Supreme Court said nothing doing, you can't do this kind of job. That's, that's where court intervened. But planner did their all damage and the politician did all this. In a democracy, I tell you, let me be very candid about you. In democracy, who rules? It's the majority. And please forgive me, majority always consists of fools and not intelligent people. The day intelligent people will rule, I think this world will be a much better place. I think you can expect anything happening in democracy.
No, on the contrary, perhaps it's just that our education.
Okay. I will not continue that. Ram Kumar, will you run on?
Sir, I would request Shobha, architect Shobha. She's been into town planning and urban
Oh,
planning.
yes. You have told me
Please.
about Shobha. Namaskar,
Yes,
Shobha.
yes.
Maybe you should speak up if you want to say something. Shobha, you're there. I think you're there. Maybe she wants to unmute. Shobha, can you speak up, please? Okay. I don't see her there. Mamta, just now. Maybe she just dropped off right now. Maybe in the last few minutes, I saw one dropping out. Over to you, Ramji. Ram Kumar.
Sir, good evening. Very good evening. I hope my voice is clear, sir.
Yes,
sir.
please, as always, loud and clear.
Thanks, Gupta ji, for the wonderful presentation and the importance attached to the rainwater harvesting. You have covered nicely the beautifully planned cities. Sir, what we are having the problem is many of our cities are already there in an unplanned manner with total concrete. Even in a concrete jungle, can we harvest water? Many times I ask this question, people say
Yes.
Even in a concrete jungle, it is very easy to harvest water because the soil is below the concrete.
Right.
Use the soil as a reservoir of water. Simple shallow aquifer recharge by simple methods of graded gravel pits or the wells or the ponds. Take care of the deep aquifers also. As you rightly said, it should be decentralized. See, I should hold my water within my own plot. And the soil needs water for living, otherwise soil dies. It's a very simple method. Once we practice this, it is not easy to practice. Even in concrete areas, people say you cannot harvest. It is more easy to harvest. When the stormwater drain can be used to harvest the water.
Right.
One more important point in cities are the drains are considered to take water from one place to another place. Why not we make rain harvesting stormwater drain, by which we can harvest the water into the ground, only the runoff flows away. I employed this technique in industrial areas, many residential complexes, with great success. By the only thing, polluted water will not be allowed to go into the ground. It is a very simple exercise. Only thing, the human will is required. And the understanding this rainwater harvesting is too simple, not at all complicated.
Yes. Yes,
So
Gopal
think
Dalmia.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think one thing I would, one story I'll communicate. There are many wells, earlier people used to take out water from wells, So those wells can serve as the rainwater harvesting. You can store water, You can,
Yes.
Wells have enormous capacity. If you can link the rainwater collection right with those wells, if the wells can be used, you will find, this the city will be able to have a lot of water, number one. Number two, like now the problem of energy is there. Now there are a lot of companies which are coming, there are digesters, like the black water which is coming, you have a small instrument which is there that will recycle, that black water, So they will produce energy, number one. Number two, it will clean the water. Number three, it will produce fertilizer, So even your energy requirement can be met right locally. And I think the Bangalore, you individually it may be difficult, but at the level of the group housing society, you can do it, because if you incentivize them, that in the property tax will give you so much, we recognize you for your this, and then the cumulatively the community can do it, and I think the one principle one that should be need, please don't collect the waste and take it somewhere else. No, the waste is to be dealt with where it is generated, when it is generated. If this principle is followed, you will find things will be much better and much,
That's
safer.
zero discharge, the target of zero discharge.
That could be done, There's no problem about it. But since we have 4% water, I think we need to recycle water 3 or 4 times, Like I said, Paris has drinking water separate and all this canal water, which is taking care of all these beauty of this, this spaces, green spaces, etc. They are not using the, that potable water for any other purpose. They are, they are very, very clear, and they have been able to save, and they have been able to do a great
Got
job,
it. Easy, before Gopal Dalmia speaks, let me tell you that you spoke about dug wells, open wells in the city, and how it can improve shallow aquifer, provide water. There is somebody here, Vishwanath, I think is still here. He started, I think about 10, 12 years ago, what he called a million wells program for the city, for Bangalore.
Okay.
A million wells as an idea in order to
Right.
capture people's imagination.
Right.
From my reading of what has so far been done, he has found it easier to get the government to do things than for these fellows in the private sector, apartments and individual homeowners, etc. Right? That is the government. You see, there are some people who are good at that in terms of engaging with the government and trying to see what they can get.
Hari, but how many wells were actually implemented? I have no idea if
No,
many wells
I
have
mean,
been
we can
actually
go
made.
into numbers, but that is not the purpose. At the
No,
drift and direction level, it
Hari-
has achieved some amount of visibility, Sandeep. See, we can sit down and keep ranting and raving about everything that has gone wrong.
No.
Hariji,
What I'm questioning
Hariji,
is,
Yes,
you are
yes.
saying it is easier.
Nick,
You're
can we
saying
have a
it's easier
start?
to
We can have a startup, which will going on for this. Let's get into that kind of things. Why we
Absolutely.
keep it to the government, and why there can't be a startup which
Hari,
can
my
check
question to you only
It does,
was,
it does.
you're saying it is easier to do through government. In that case, the
He
million
has found.
program should have been succeeded because he's been talking about it for almost 10 years, as far as I know.
No, it's not like that. Oh,
If it
yeah,
is
you're
not
right.
working, then maybe government is not the route.
I'm not saying that either. We can't be didactic about these things, and I'm only reminding that reminding TG that there are initiatives that have
Right.
in some ways succeeded. Gopal Dalmia, over to you.
Sir, I had a question about the beautiful example of Paris, which was shared.
Yeah.
That there is the secondary water line that runs in parallel. is there any example that we have taken from Paris and implemented anywhere in this country? First question.
Yes.
Second is that we have got this so many smart city programs which are run for special electricity lines being relayed, special sewage lines being relayed, special water lines being relayed. Have we not thought of similarly adding the secondary line of treated sewage or treated grey water for the secondary use?
I think Bhubaneswar is trying to do something, but I'm not so certain about it. If you ask me if there is such a city scale dual plumbing, I don't think we have tried that.
In fact, Paris was unique. They had those three rivers, which they were able to connect it. And in fact, that system is more than 120 or 140-year old. They have been able to maintain it. But globally, that remains one of the individual isolated examples, and which has been done successfully. But it has not been done by others. That's what there may be some kind of.
But also, we must remember that it has been only done at the inner Paris level of about 100 square kilometers, not at the greater Paris level.
Right.
Inner Paris is only about a third of the population of the approximate 12 million or so of Paris.
Right.
So it's not why. I mean, in inner Paris, there are many homes. This is a French culture. I mean, you can go to some of their grand palaces also. You'll find the kings never had toilets. There are buildings inside city. Gopal, your son will know. Inside the city, there are places where you cannot take a shower. You are not allowed to. You have to go down and take a shower at a common place.
Right.
I mean, France has its own sets of problems of that kind. I must add, it's not like all things are the best out there. Anyone else who wants to speak up, please?
There's one more thing I wanted to say about this special faucets for say 6 liters per minute. Kind of a thing.
Yes.
My observation is that it requires a minimum amount of pressure for it to be effectively, putting the air bubbles to control that volume, to give you fullness of volume without the actual water.
No, I tell you, if you look at the design of the faucet in India and America, the other country, there the water is basically circulating, that generates the pressure. In our case, it is the design. In fact, that is unfortunately the tragedy, that we have a water which goes straightway, flushes. But there in all those faucets is water circulates and creates pressure and then cleans it, That's what the difference is. I think there is a fault between what our design of this WC is. That's what
perhaps you can share with us any design cutaway so that we can understand the technical side of it.
Yes, you will find in that the water moves in a circle, not the straight way. There's not a hole, it goes there. It just goes in circulating, which create pressure and then cleans it. That's what.
Okay. Thank you.
Any of the youngsters, anyone who wants to speak up? Snail, do you want to speak up? You are doing so much work with the government, at least with the administrators in the government. Do you want to speak up, please? No. Yes?
Yeah. No. Good evening, and Jit Kumar ji. It was an excellent presentation, and I like the thought that which you expressed, that our the city should be designed not with the land cover method, but with the suitability analysis, land suitability analysis, as well as integrating it with water. So that was the best part, but in reality that kind of a thing is not to be seen. That's what is I see. And what Chandra was expressing is my point also, that people like you who are so much expert and you are so much experienced in this, so we are expecting that at least in the policy matters also, in the guidelines of buildings and all those, if something can be pitched in there, then only things can change. Otherwise, like we are sitting in Mumbai city and we see that in the name of infrastructure, either mangroves are cut, forests are cut, trees are cut, and everything is cut. And now High Court and Supreme Court is also favoring for all these things. So how to go about now? There cannot be a U-turn. That's what is I was feeling. And really, you have given so much of insight, that giving an example of Chandigarh, that when we already have our own good example there, why and we go to Singapore or we go to US and all to learn all these things, all our these engineers go several times to see good practices. Why can't they go to Chandigarh only to see these practices and replicate that? So that's what is my question, that why that there is a lesson about this.
Snehalji, I thank you very much, but we are also surprised. Even when we have progressed so much, we are, Chandigarh was set up in 1949, Still, you can think about, more than 70 years have gone by. We have not been able to replicate a Chandigarh again, That's unfortunate. But, look at the wisdom of those people, the commitment, the professional. They were great people, I wish, you could come time and say, they study, how they were committed, Can you believe it that they knew this city is going to come up, city and periphery. They froze the area around the city so that that remains agriculture. There is no unauthorized and unplanned development. There are a number of good things have been done. But let me also explain to you, like we know, we talk about Singapore. I think we don't understand the context of Singapore. What Singapore is now doing, they are owning 100%. The government is owning 100% land of the Singapore. That is 765 square kilometer, Because that's an island, they don't have land, So they said no land should be under private hand. It is the land which will be owned by government, number one, Ma'am, they have been able to solve the housing problem. What is the logic, Housing, the only a person in life can have one house. You cannot have the second house, Secondly, the house is given to the people who are the, citizen of the country, right? So that means you cannot, nobody outside can have this. Nobody can have two houses, three houses, So that is what they have been able to implement, and people have followed, number one. Number two, Number three, look at the kind of, traffic we have. Recently, if you can read it, they said the area of the island has gone from 17% of the area has gone under roads and open parking, They said we cannot afford more land. So there you cannot own a land, this car, there is no cars, those showrooms that you can go car. You have to get a permit, which the government, releases the permit, and the cost of permit is high, that is limited number.
Sure.
And then you have to wait and get for that. And I tell you this, no land is owned by individual. It is all leased, Lease is given 33 years. Lease is given for 33 years. And whenever the government wants, they take it back. That's what, even when they're developed, they have kind of system, where nobody can exploit that.
Gigi, you said it in the beginning when you said about management boards. We have these IAS officers who are administrators who are very low on management. They never understand management. They will never come from a proactive, whatever kind of a situation where they don't talk down to you. For them, you are another contractor. For them, there is only expenditure budget. I'm not ranting or raving about governments. That is not my purpose. The thing is that somewhere there is a mindset which I have not been able to understand. Vishwanath says that, yes, I have, and I have found ways of working with them. And he has always been proactive and positive about such situations that we have, shall we say, within the government. I'll turn to Ramesh Banagar.
Last to Hariharan, I take 1 minute. I 1 minute. Why Indian IAS are behaving like this? Because there is no accountability and responsibility. They have authority. They have no accountability. The moment you make them accountable, they will be very, very cautious,
Absolutely.
They have
only given a budget to spend.
They have only.
I think examples are also adopted as per the convenience. Like in Mumbai, we have adopted the policies of Manhattan, and here we are giving 10 FSI extra. So this is what is happening, and that's what is hampering. I think that's the thing, because when I gave an example of Singapore and US, that they go to learn, but the right practice which will be suitable to us and looking at our landmass and all, and that's not happening. That's what I believe. Maybe Gigi will be able to tell this better.
Ramesh, Ramesh from Hubli will speak now. Yes, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Look at Ramesh, you're seeing
nice
there's
connecting,
always,
sir.
absolutely, very animated, all these exchanges, every time it is so. Go on.
Yes, yes.
Over to you. Yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, thank you everyone for this wonderful session, and Gupta sir. Sir, the case you mentioned about Spawn City, the same concepts we have already implemented in couple of sites in Gurugram and Faridabad, and we personally witnessed the improvement. Like the runoff coefficient were earlier 90%, we brought down to 30%, 30 to 45% for the design period rainfalls of 25 years.
Right.
But
Means,
did
and
you
another
get the
good thing
government's
about
approval?
such.
How did you get the consent of the government? How did that happen?
Currently, sir, it was made at a urban facility, that is at a private sector only.
Okay.
So currently, sir, the good thing about projects is we can easily scale it at small area to bigger area.
Yes.
Currently, my current question to you, all of you, is I want to promote such projects, at least at the private sector from the beginning. How to promote such projects? Yeah.
Sure. We'll keep that in mind, Nikki.
One thing I could say, they can connect with CREDAI so that there is an education on the part of developers, number one. Number two, it is embedded as an integral part of the building bylaws, or the local development control that will help them.
Good point, Gigi. I'm glad you responded to him. Ramesh, if it is possible for me to see if I can connect you to somebody in CREDAI, Chandigarh chapter, I will do that. Keep this in mind. He is right. If you go at this level of an industry forum or some whatever forum like that might help. Yes, Nikki.
I have a comment and then correct
yes, please.
Gigi, we're talking about Singapore and commonly owned land or like government owned land and things like that. I mean, I'm in Goa where I see as an old practice, which is slowly eroding now. There was this practice of commonly owned land. The panchayat would own the land, no individual would own the land. It was called the Conserve system for farming and whatever. And the panchayat would then allot to locals, depending on who they are, etc., for for their house and like farmland and etc. and so on and so forth. Of course, there was a whole lot of caste and all that involved. There was the Bhatkars and the Munkars and like all of that. I'm not going to get into that. That system is getting eroded now. I mean, as you can see with all the protests that are happening in Goa and all of that, the Section 39 and so on. The question I wanted to ask was, how do we devolve power back to municipalities or wards? I mean, I know Sandeep is also like working along the same lines and like how to get to devolving power back into the people who to people who will make decisions who are directly affected by the decisions. Yeah.
In fact, if I go, the land is the one subject which have maximum litigation in the country. Number two, all politician has understood land is the safest method to make money, change of land usually. Thirdly, that nobody would like that land should be, used by the community. They would like the land to be used for individually. And if you can see, whenever the rules are made, what the rules are made, like now said that FAR, please increase the FAR to 10, Imagine, FAR has become a number, but in the same land, you have 10 times more built up area. Do the city has the capacity, capability, infrastructure and services? Unfortunately, the planners have become a kind of, because of people go and travel.
Absolutely.
In New York, FAR is 20. They say, why can't in India it can be 20, where it can be 20, things don't understand why with the kind of system they have and the kind of infrastructure they have. So ultimately,
we don't have. Yeah, you're right.
We have very different kind of system, Urban systems are run. By people who don't have any understanding. I wish, I will quote you one example. I quoted the example Curitiba, Curitiba was first city which had a mayor, Jamie Lerner, who was an architect, When he got elected, there was a problem of traffic and transportation. He called all his people, what is going to, how you can solve the problem. They said, have sir, metro. He said, what is the time metro will take? They said 10 years. He says, what is my duration? He said, 5 years. He said, you think I'm a fool that I'll do something when I'm nowhere there? So he is the father of the bus-based rapid transit system, which is now followed globally, And he is the father of transit-oriented development, where, he could reshape everything. So that story, success story is known. He was 3-time governor, because he was an architect. He knew the city there and became subsequently the governor of that state.
There are two takeaways today. One, it's only one takeaway. Everything is about management. These fellows in administration have got to learn to do something else in life now and be accountable for it, as you said. We will not change that. See, we don't have a democracy. We have a pretense that suits all these wonderful fellows who are, aggrandizing. That's all there is. I mean, whether people like it or not, I must say that. Anyone else, please? Oh my God, it's 7:40, 100 minutes. Who else is left here? What is it?
I think just
Jyoti,
one question to
Raviji, yes, of course. Yes, sir. Yes, Sandeep. Yes, please. Go on, please. Yes, Sandeep. Sandeep, you can speak up. You have to mute. You have to unmute. You have to.
Hello,
Yeah.
am I audible?
Yes. Now you are. Yes.
Okay, so I have
No, you are again getting muted. Some problem with your laptop, I think. You have to. Yeah. Go on. Yes, please. Now you are. No, again you are muted. It's a
we've been
default. Yeah.
repeatedly talking about how the planning is focused on land use rather than on holistic principles. So maybe one of the fundamental interventions that we need is that the planning bodies have to be capacitated with at least ecologists in them. We should have qualified ecologists in all planning bodies. That might
Sure.
help make the plan more holistic. Something like how Chandigarh has planned.
You are very right. Planning cannot be domain of town planners. There are many people, actors who are involved, and this is, it's a basically multiple type of factor which are required. Person with history, sociology, architecture, landscaping, urban design, town planning, and then the political system, how the city have grown. All these kind of picture people are required to be integral part of the city planning, not by the town planner only. That is unfortunately that's what has happened.
Got it. Raviji, you were making copious notes. That is why I left it for you to speak at the end.
Professor Saab, Gupta Saab, good to listen to you. This was my third occasion. Hariji, public awareness, accountability, budget allocation, finance, policy making, democracy, I will not touch. I will touch pure science, and that is not molecules for you to be comfortable. This is purely engineering principles. Chandigarh has 748 kilometers of sewerage length, and you are talking about treat it at source. What do I derive? Number one, foaming or water saving is the function of pressure and not circulation. Every tap requires for at least 1.5 kg centimeter square pressure, where Hariji's house does not qualify, even if somebody donates him all the fixtures. What is the energy implication of that pressure available? Now, coming to sponge versus rainwater harvest. Soil is a reactor. We cannot store water because it is the best friend and worst enemy. If there is some contamination, you can see an area of a city eliminated. You said about Paris. What happened to Olympic swimming event in Siena? Belgium and other swimming team, they withdrew. They abandoned the whole competition because the river water was not in order.
Surely, surely.
So, if we do not meet the engineering, and Chandigarh is a, the contour itself is favorable. All other urban centers which are port cities near the seashore do not have that contour for lake formation. And lake is not a tank. All the engineering textbooks say water tank. It's a flawed terminology from the limnological point of view. Lake or river is a reactor which constantly reacts with the water. And अभी क्या बोल सकते हैं हम? I'm really SDG 1 is the biggest hoax. Poverty elimination on one hand, and our global water bankruptcy book by K.V. Madhani, it says 70% of world population is living on 2.4% of wealth. EPA also talks about all standards where they are basically flawed on the scientific principles. I'm not talking about corruption, implementation, short of budget, whatever. I'm talking pure science. And if we flawed on the scientific principles, no amount of budget or integrity can fix it. Achha. All lectures where poverty of water is shown with Indian and Asian countries. No poor country ever complained about water shortage or water crisis or bankruptcy. These are the terms coming from the first world country. And they are the highest consumers of natural resources. तो ये क्या ये कुछ एक गेम खेल रहे हैं लोग, using water as the elixir and all that. Take USA, the highest, New York is the highest water per capita consumption. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I think those are great ideas. But let me tell you, poverty is neither an urban problem, neither a rural problem. Poverty is a human problem. Please understand. And poverty, please let me say, poverty is the greatest curse on humanity, And poverty marginalizes your capacity, capability, thinking everything. And I think if you can get away with the poverty of individual, and that's what I said, you should have 6 fundamental rights, that you should be allowed to live. At least you come in, everybody is equal in that sense, you can grow, but I can understand. So, let's not get into socialism. Let's not get to communism. Let's go to humanism, Let's go for humanism. I think we will do for humanism. That's more important rather than any ism, That's what I can say.
Your response, your quick response.
Sir, flora linguistic sentences will not. What is poverty? If I get 60 liter instead of 160.
No, let's not poverty, not measure in water. Let's not get. I said 6 measures. I gave you roti, kapda, makan, और साथ में कहा education, healthcare.
No. There's one more thing. You said we are democracy is not by educated. Yeah, who said that? Then the whole world and first world country should have done away with it.
That's not a debate. One can discuss, My point was that's how Trump comes. That's how Trump becomes a president of India. That's America. Sir, we will not get into politics.
My point was water only, and I stick to that.
Yes. I think
water. Safe drinking water is the term coined by countries who exploit water. Number 1, at every stage. Number 2, I grew up in a village drinking water from the river straight away, and I'm running 81st year. I'm sitting and talking with you.
Right.
So I can agree. Safe drinking water, something that comes from RO plant, is only safe.
No, not at all. I never said. I said I said water in all, shape and this has to be valued. There is no wastewater. There's no wastewater. Water is precious.
Then let us talk about a single case which fits into that category.
I would also request you, please read the spongy city American, the Chinese, you will see how much they have transferred the city in terms of their planning, development, and management. Let's
agreed. I'm a student of Kong Jiang and Gary.
Sure.
Right?
Okay, we'll do one thing. It's interesting.
One more minute. All the roof that you showed with terrace on the roof had flat terrace. It means those flat terraces are not meant for snow weather.
No. For hill areas, they are different. In
our tropical weather houses, contradictory.
Our
tropical houses do not have a terrace which will take the load of soil.
Got it. Yes.
I was giving example. I was not saying this is solution. They are one of the examples.
The last 1 minute.
Principle, sir.
Yeah. Gigi, back to you. The last 1 minute, maybe 2 or 3 sentences of what you believe you want to leave as a takeaway for the rest of us here.
I only want, as a professional, let's work together. Let's make people understand the role, relevance, and importance of water. And water in any form needs to be valued as a gift of nature, not as a commodity to be traded. That's all. And it should be universally available to all.
Got it. I think we should sign off on that wonderful note. I haven't asked a few people intentionally because it's nice sometimes to just listen and learn. And thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Gigi, for having agreed at such short notice. 48 hours ago, I asked you and you said yes.
Sir Hariji, it was learning for me also, because interacting with such learned people, I think that is most important. And I was spaced in such a short time. I am so grateful to you for this.
Thank you so much. Gracious of you. We will have one more session. We'll have it not as a presentation, but as a panel discussion, probably. With such stalwarts here, we must be able to think up something like that. I'll come back to you, Gigi. Thank you so much.